welcome to Game Soup. It's a game design podcast. I'm Chloe, she's Kayla. How are you doing this week?
I'm doing mentally, I guess, all right. I find the question, like, how are you doing, hard to answer when I am having what I am having at the moment, which is a very bad fibromyalgia flare, because it's like, oh, yeah, no, I'm doing, like, okay. How do I rate my pain? Like, probably an 8. Energy levels, 2. And also I can't think very well at the moment. But, like, I'm fine. But it's like, if I just describe all of that, it's like, oh, it sounds like you're doing awful. And I'm like, no, I'm just disabled.
It's a normal day for me, hon. Don't MBD.
It's not a normal, like, it's a quite
Yeah, I
bad
know,
day
but like,
for my
yes, you
dealing with
can, hon.
disability. But yeah, it's like, I'm always in some level of pain. So being in pain innately is not like this has ruined my day.
Yeah.
Because of, I guess, mindsets I need to have as a disabled person. How are you doing, Chloe?
I'm fine. My legs hurt a little bit. I helped a friend move in on Monday, so we spent 8 hours driving around Newcastle and then going to IKEA's and Costco's.
Oof.
But no, it's fun time. Like I like to whinge, but like it was good.
Really? I've never noticed that. But yeah, no, that sounds like a nice time. It makes sense that you would feel quite rough after it, though. I think the flare
Yeah.
I'm currently having, I've been having since probably last Wednesday, and I think I probably did make it worse. Not intentionally. I didn't necessarily notice how
I took a hammer
I
to my
wasn't
legs, you
flare.
know.
No, but I went on Saturday, as I mentioned, to a little mini zine fair slash talk seminar thing at Leicester Gallery, which I mentioned on the podcast before, which was all right. That was like a sort of nice day. In terms of like, oh, it was nice to see some people. I sold some books to Orc's Nest, including Out of the Fold and Other Stories, which currently isn't available anywhere else. So if you are like
Nice.
London-based and go to Orc's Nest, you could get like one of the few copies currently available, because I've not got around to adding it to my web store yet. But I had a horrible experience of travel, and oh my god. So I left and did what I talked about before when I talked about Mini Dragon Meat, where I strapped my suitcase to my wheelchair and got public transport over to, this time, to St. Pancras Station. The getting to St. Pancras Station was fine. It was tiring. It was probably more tiring than I should have been putting myself through in retrospect. But like, nothing went wrong on those parts of the journey. When I get to St. Pancras, I notice one of the lifts is like under repair, so I go up to a guy walking by the escalator and say, hey, where's the nearest lift that would get me up to the platform I need to get up? He's like, all the lifts are down. And I was like, well, that's not ideal. It's like, you should go to the ticket office and they'll sort it out. I don't know what that means even at this point. Like, what
are they going to do? Build
means.
A new lift?
I go to the ticket office. The ticket office has like a queue line that is too narrow for me to get into, so I have to wait outside of it and try and flag someone's attention while multiple able-bodied people walk in front of me, ignoring me, skipping in the queue. Because
you know, that's life. Yeah.
Always. Eventually get to someone who's just like, ooh, yeah, no, the lifts are down. And then it's like, basically says something like, oh, but like your thing is with this train line, and we're actually like this train Thameslink station. And I'm like, but the sign above says National Rail Ticket Office. So are you in the wrong place, or what's going on here? At this point, I just like walk away, and because like I am an ambulatory wheelchair user, I take my wheelchair and suitcase up the escalator, which is probably not safe and probably not smart. But I needed to make this train. I was
It's
very
that or
close to
miss your
missing it
train, so...
otherwise. Yeah, I get up, I meet up with Laurie, who I'm tabling with, and he like helps push me up to the thing. The guy that gate just takes a look at me and just goes, "No, too late." Laurie yells back like, "No, not too late. Actually, we are lit through because it's just as gate goes weird. Otherwise, the people behind are getting us the ramp out." I make that train, and it turned out from speaking to Laurie that the lifts were not broken. They just hadn't been turned on yet.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Other than the one I saw that was broken, they just hadn't been turned on, even though the trains had started running. And even though, for the record, I had actually pre-booked passenger assistance, so they did know someone with a wheelchair was coming. And you might think, damn, Kayla, that sounds so awful. But I have to presume that then, after the gallery day, which was all good, your journey home was really smooth, right? Right?
Obviously.
I go to a pub afterwards with Laurie, Chris McDowell from Bastion Land, like Mullins, like someone could just get like a drink and stuff before heading off, talk about like how the day went. That was nice, but I had to get like a weird lift down into this pub, which is like a repurposed cargo lift. Which even when getting down, like it just wasn't moving for ages, and then like someone had to go and shut the door below for it to work because it was some kind of repurposed cargo lift. I think I should start taking selfies in weird lifts because I do feel a lot of my life as a wheelchair user involves seeing like the weirdest lifts that they otherwise don't show to the able-bodied
Yeah.
public. Like I also used to have a lift where I did some therapy where it was like it didn't have walls, it was just like shut and you had to press the button down while using it. Like you couldn't press it and it would go. It had to be pressed
Yeah.
continuously. Getting ready to go with plenty of time to catch our train, and the lift doors jam on me, and I am trapped in an elevator, in this weird cargo elevator. I'm trapped on the bottom floor still, not the floor I need to
Not
get
even the floor
out.
you need to know.
Yeah, I have to call Laurie because we're both getting a train back and being like, I'm stuck in this elevator, trying to get loads of people who are mostly eventually useless. I had time to take a selfie while trapped in the elevator.
Yeah, it's a lot of waiting when you're trapped in an elevator, I have to assume.
That can be the episode thumbnail.
So,
Yeah,
you
sorry,
got
so.
out, you survived.
Yeah, have to get back in the elevator to go back up.
Yeah.
Apparently the issue was something like someone else had pressed the button on the outside, which broke the elevator, obviously.
Fuck me.
I get kicked out. Someone ordered us an Uber. I don't know if that was Laurie or if that was Mull from Soul Muppet. I forgot to ask because I was then busy having to like fast pack down a wheelchair, get a suitcase in, get into the Uber, rush to get this train. This is when the day turns around in terms of travel, though, because we do get on the train and we are just randomly put in first class because it was we just made it in the nick of time.
They heard,
So got
actually, she deserved to win.
free apple juice from first class. When we were coming back, me and Laurie were coming back from a convention, I believe. But I'm now trying to think of what it could be. It was probably the thing in Nottingham. It was also ran by the Dying Earth catalogue. He had got first class and actually booked it. I had not, but we ended up getting like he asked if because we were traveling together I could get moved to first class. He was going to pay a ticket transfer fee, but then like the guy coming around was like, "You two look like you two have
Had a day.
had a hard enough day. I'll just write it off." And we were like, "Wait, have we? What did we look like?" We can tell. Is this just wheelchair privilege, or or did we look like shattered? So that was my day at a convention. I mentioned off pod. I'm going to tomorrow have a trial of like a little power assist thing to my wheelchair that will help with like days when I'm very fatigued, and also like bits outside, because you might not know this, but 75% of London is on a fucking Dutch angle. The streets are just slanted. Like,
You
even
live on
flat
a
streets,
hill.
it's
I
like they
still
do
don't
just skew.
understand
I live
this.
on a hill. That's like just bad planning. But like, even when you get to like flat bits of central, it's like, yeah, these streets are smooth, but they like all lean.
Yeah,
So some power assist might help. I might, coming to a con near you, there might be monster truck Kayla with
fully
a
automatic.
4-wheel suitcase strapped to the back, a power attachment at the front, Kayla armed. I'll get a lance as
Yeah,
well,
big
just
stick.
to. I'm gonna start Mad Maxing it. Maybe not at UKG, but by things like Norwich or Tabletop Scotland,
Get some
I
spikes on the
will be
wheels.
a lethal weapon.
Those things they
And
put
then
on
any
side of
elevator I
chariots
get
just
trapped in,
to
I'm just gonna
blaze. Yeah,
smash through.
big grappling hook so you can just skip stairs.
Do you have any game ideas?
I mean, I'm sure
Do you
we
have
could think of
anything?
something about being stuck in a lift. Um,
I think I handled being stuck in a lift very well, like mentally. I don't consider myself claustrophobic in general.
yeah,
But I know even people who don't can find being trapped in a lift very difficult. I think I was mostly quite calm. There was at least one moment where I was like, all I want to do is get up and start smashing things. But I was like, I'm not going to, because I think the doors are shut from the outside, not the inside. So I don't think I couldn't have smashed my way out. It needed to be smashed in. Um, I think I was telling someone the story and then said something like just how a GRS surgery works.
I did have an idea for us trying to pitch what the Neopet. I didn't understand what you said, so I just sort of moved
I
on.
said just like how bottom surgery works.
Oh, well, you just started smashing from
Can't
the
be smashed
outside
out,
in.
gotta be smashed in.
So I had an idea
Let's
this
make a
week
game, yeah.
for. There was some Neopets RPG that was getting kickstarted, and the Kickstarter page proposed all these amazing ideas, but did not actually present any mechanics for any of the ideas. Neopets being
Yeah,
a naughty's browser based pet thing with like an entire world in your browser, and it's like, how are you doing mini games and cooking and like pet fighting and all sorts of shit, but you've not proposed any mechanics? It's like, I want to be the person who's just like, yeah, I'm making the Neopets RPG. I'm going under your noses.
yeah, I think there was like a Rascal article about that like
Yeah,
last year. I don't know Neopets. I was not a Neopet girly in any way. So I guess, are you making the Neopets game for Neopets aficionados?
yeah. I think it's like we call it something like new pets or like something that is evocative, and it's like you look at it and it's like, oh, that's Neopets, but it gets under the
So
licensing.
I feel I can't really pitch anything for this because of not knowing. But when you said new pets, I then suddenly imagined the phrase NU pets, and I was like, new metal pets.
There we
What's
go.
the game New Metal Pets?
I don't know enough about new metal. I'm sorry.
Damn. We need to find an idea that we can both
We're
riff
totally
on.
off each other's radars today. It's just like Neopets had like Pokemon bullshit and ARG puzzles and like platforming flash games. And it's like I can see a world where these are all sort of interconnected, but it's like in an RPG. It's just like, are you playing as the pets? Are you playing as the pet owners? What is the
What is the pitch of this RPG that makes it worth playing as an RPG rather than just wanting to play Neopets the game? Like, I don't think I'd want to say have an RPG of um fucking Balatro, because it's like, how would this be an RPG that's not just like, is Neopets enough of a game to make an RPG out of, rather than just making a board game version of Neopets? This is a
I don't
genuine question because I don't know.
I don't know. They've added so much bullshit since I played it 20 years ago, but it's like I'm just scrolling through the thing now, and it's like they've got lore, they've got a bunch of places you can go to. I think I would, if I was making this game, I'd have it be you're like the pet owners, and but then again, it's just the website, but as a RPG, so I don't understand.
Like, I feel like you can make a some kind of, based on what you've described, some kind of like analog card game with like deck building and worker placement elements that would be a fun board game. I don't see what an RPG is. But this has just made me thinking about like licensed games, which we sometimes talk about on the show, of old properties. Were you a CBBC's Raven Girly?
Yeah, I watched it a bit.
Okay, what would this figure out the Raven TTRPG? Because I've talked with people of our age bracket who've been like, that's my dream license. Because I feel like here, the way you do this is you don't acknowledge the fact that it's the game show. You're like, oh, okay, the plot of Raven is these young adults doing trials in the Highlands at the behest of this wizard. And you figure out what is the game plot of that.
Yeah, it's not a kids' game show. It is you are like medieval children in a village being trained by some weird wizard who lives on the outside of your village to fight.
I think it's Portal Fantasy esque. Like you
Yes, it's
travel,
like the
like
D&D
I think
cartoon. It's like you are normal kids from now sucked
because
back
I think
into
you are
the
no, yeah.
1600 the 600s or whatever.
I think Raven's more like it's just a weird sort of, I guess, fantasy setting.
Yeah, it's
The
anachronistic.
trials
But
are trials, but like I guess you're doing skill checks with them. Um, I think you have to figure out what being eliminated from and failing a trial means in new game terms. Like, is it maybe like die-esque, where when you die you become like this antagonist figure, and there can be chances to bring you back from the
yeah,
dead?
whoever dies first becomes the baddie, and I'm on the Wikipedia page and I cannot work out if they say the name of the baddie. Uh,
I feel actually I feel increasingly what I am pitching is like a die hack or a die parody that has the license for CBBC's Raven.
it can't be that expensive, right?
I don't know. This is a genuine thing I don't know, where I'm like, I am curious about like, what is the price or deal for like semi unused licenses, especially something like Raven, where I feel like it might be owned by the BBC as a public broadcaster, but maybe it's owned by the production company who did it. For things in a medium where it's like, I know people often say like licensed RPGs to any sort of major corporation in general, they're kind of like rounding errors for what these things make. But I feel like with something like Raven, it's like, other than streaming royalties, which, yeah, to be fair, would probably be way bigger than any
They've
game
rebooted it,
royalties. Like, it's like ongoingly, or just in the past they have rebooted it. Because I know there are a lot of Raven spin-offs.
They did a season in 2017.
See, I get what you're saying, but that is nearly a decade ago.
Yes, but it's like it gets two generations of kids. I don't know.
Yeah, but I'm just like, genuinely, I'm like, it's probably not something we could afford, but I'm like, how affordable would it be for some small press publisher? Or, I don't know, how easy would it be if I went to the Arts Council and was like, yeah, I want to work on this game and I'd like to apply with some Arts Council funding for the license for Raven?
I can see it. I can see a popular series of like RPG books based on mid-noughties children's competition games. Like, give me 50-50. 50-50 was my jam.
Um,
That had
yeah,
less plot, though.
I mean, I guess if you're a producer or know anything about television, get in touch. I'd love the Raven IP hookup.
Should we just send him an email as a laugh? See what we get?
I have no idea who you do. It would take research, is the thing. Like, even to figure out the answer to my question would take research that is just not my priority now. Do you have a, like, dream license product? Or license product is a weird way of saying it. But do you have a dream license that you would be more interested in doing as the license rather than, like, just pastiching
I
in a
think
game?
Adventure Time. And they've tried to do Adventure Time RPGs recently, and it's just like D&D, but with you can play as a slime. Um, I think you could do a pretty good like slice of life, living in a fantasy world thing. There's all this weird shit going on. I think you are like a new hero, and yeah, I have ideas for Adventure Time, but I don't think you could do it as oh yeah, it's just like Adventure Time because it would just end up being sort of a weird dungeon crawler.
Yeah, I get what you're saying there. Like, there is something almost a like Yazeva's quality to it by like actually being Adventure Time, even if its system doesn't take much influences from Yazeva. So I do feel like that would be a good place to take influence from. That just having the license does that in like where like stand-ins wouldn't maybe feel the same unless you
Yeah,
were doing something in the space of like parody games. I feel we could be getting close to the end of this episode. We're like now 2 weeks away from UK Games Expo. We'll have one episode. Our next episode will come out the Friday of the con, I should
yeah.
say. Like, this is our last pre Gexpo episode. We're not doing a live podcast this year, but you can find both of us in Hall 3A. I am on stall 3A813
And I'm
at Ratway
815. We're next to
Game
each other.
House. Yeah, we are right next to each other. So I'll be there with Laurie O'Connell as 12 Pins Press under the name Ratwave Game House. I'm gonna have Psycho Dungeon, Nemesis Retribution, which we've talked about on this podcast, Out of the Fold, and Other Games, which is a collection I've talked about on the podcast and the game we made on the show. I'm gonna have Transgender Deathmatch Legend, as well as its box set form for the first time, available post crowdfunder. And then I'm going to have lots of different zines, and Laurie's going to have things like Death Game and Hieronymus. So yeah, please do come say hi.
Yeah.
Is there anything do you have any last con prep left to do, Chloe? I should ask.
We need to get a cash flow sorted, and I think that's it. We need to buy lots of monster for hiding under the table.
Yeah, I need to pre-sort some food stuff because
Yeah,
I never
I should
eat
say
very
what
well at
we've got
conventions.
new. I mean, we've got finally got printed versions of Extra Time. So come complete
Ooh.
your tournament art collection. They're very nice looking. We've got like colors on the edge of the paper, so it looks really like pretty. We've got printed versions of Mouse in the House, which we made on the pod about 70 odd episodes ago, but it's there. Yeah, I don't know. We're looking forward to it. It's going to be our
Yeah,
first con as solo goers, so
and it's a big one to jump in on. It's the
yeah.
first time I've done it solo, so yeah, that'll be exciting. My last stuff is I need to sort like food things, because I don't eat very well at conventions, and that's not ideal. I also will print a price list. There's a lot of stuff now where it's in the realm of closer to the time. I also need to pack up which stock I am taking, figure out how much of it, and I'm probably going to transport that to Laurie, who's gonna have it driven down to the con, while I will be getting myself up by train with more limited stuff, and hopefully with a jet engine in full monster truck form, but maybe not, because I don't know how all of that's gonna go. But yeah, this was a fun episode. It was low key, I feel,
Yeah. As a closing
because of the
thought,
flair.
I would like to say go look up the new presenter of Raven from the reboot because she's hot as fuck. Thank you for listening to Game Soup.
Some drive-by fasting before we close out.